Alongside the one, the only, the adorable, the irrepressible Steven Simcox, who is usually here on Wednesdays, but today you're here on Thursday. And it was fine. I'll tell you, we did not have a show yesterday, and here's why. I had no idea what to do. Like, when you told me, like, hey, we'll do it Thursday, like, I was like, okay, good. And then I spent all morning yesterday going, what should we talk about today? It'll be different than what we talk about on 365 Sports an hour later. I had nothing. Well, and so instead of bringing the audience what would have been a totally half-assed and total crap show, I decided to just not do it.
That's actually really good self-awareness, because I have been part of some shows where, not here, but other places where we probably should have just taken the day off.
You and I were on such a show, and that was every day.
Some would argue 5 days a week we should have just taken the week off.
We were on such a show. We were working at the radio station together, and the owner and one of the salesmen came up with an idea that we had this other signal that we needed to do a show that was more pointed towards that audience, and that audience being no one. They're already listening to the other show. Like that's the show they were listening to.
It was
they
just
could hear it.
It was just confusion.
Yeah, it was just confusion.
They just got on and heard another show, and they were like, what's happening?
Yeah, it was really, and in fact, that was all the calls and emails we got. It's like, well, is Paul going to be back on the other show when this one's over in an hour? And I'm like, some days not. Well, which days? I don't know. And so the other co-host was Ward Weitz. And Ward and I, we got along great. All three of us were. We were fine. Great. Ward's a great guy. So it wasn't like there was a lack of natural chemistry with Ward and me, I think, because we both had completely different ideas of what the show would be. I didn't want to do it at all, so it was just a thing I had to do. I was in a pretty bad mood about it the whole time, and I might have created, with Ward's help, one of the worst radio shows ever, because what we would do is, if we could play a whole press conference of something, we did it. Like, and then he started doing that a lot after I left, but that was one of my, like, it's the most shameful idea I think I've ever had in this business. It's the one where I cared the least and was most spiteful towards an owner who had a terrible idea. And I was like, look, if you just want something on the air, we'll put something on the air. And we did a couple of segments that were kind of fun, but ultimately, like, we didn't, none of the three of us wanted to do the show. It was another, like a thing on
It was
our
a
day.
thing on top of what we were doing.
Yeah, it was a thing on top of what we were doing. And we got no extra money for it. It was just like, I remember asking, like, do we get like a bonus for this one? Or there's something going on? And they're like, no, this is what you're going to do. And so it made me resentful, even so much more than I already was, which was, I will tell you a lot. I mean, every time I thought that, like, okay, it will get better after this because I can't possibly be madder about this than I am. It was just like, no, you can't. Don't sell your anger short, Paul. It's in there.
There's more in there. There's more that can be drawn out.
There's more that can be dragged out. And so we had one show that was like, we do an interview, and then we do like two press conferences, like 3 segments. Interview, press conference, press conference. Interview, press conference, press conference. Then we were done. It was a 2-hour show. And we did probably 40 minutes of actual talk.
And it was my first time producing, so I was like, this is a pretty easy job, honestly. I don't know why Jordan Victorian's so stressed out in the other room. I'm just pressing buttons in here. It's fine.
Yeah. And like, basically, like, I would be like, hey, Steven, we need a Gary Patterson press conference, and Jason Garrett, which, having been live at many a Jason Garrett press conference, I should have known and been respectful enough of the audience to know that 25 minutes of such a thing.
It's not Dave Chappelle at the
Apollo. No. It's like, they all start, like, he was a bit performative in the fact that, like, you know,
He pretended to be a human for 25 minutes, you know? Like
but, a lot of people have like signature lines, that come out on stage, and he would, "How we doing, guys?" every time. And then,
he thought that was just, he's like, "Oh man, I'm killing this."
Yeah. "How we doing, guys?"
I'm greeting people. I'm like mixing and matching.
Like, here's the thing. And he wore, like, nobody could see it, but if you watched it on the stream, he wore the same exact thing every single day. They have, like, when you work for a team, you have a myriad of choices of clothes that you can wear with that team's logo on it. There is no, like, every kind of combination that you can imagine. He wore the same one every day.
And it's funny how, I've talked about this before, but personality stuff, like when we talk about coaches and the personalities, it all comes back to whether they win or not. Mm-hmm. So if you're a winner, then a lot of the quirky personality stuff can be funny or fun.
Yeah.
I'm struggling to think of people, but right now I'm just thinking of San Antonio Spurs players. But Tim Duncan, right?
Yeah.
Like very just, not a super gregarious guy, funny, but like very mute or muted. I guess I should say Kawhi Leonard was that way until he found out he was actually kind of a diva in some ways. But he's a very quiet person and kind of keeps to himself.
Kawhi is the kind of one that like sends his guy in to do like the talk to the coach.
Yes.
Like the coach wants to talk to you and is like, "No, just you just go talk to him." And then report back to me what he said. And then the coach gets mad. He's like, no, I want to talk to you. Uh-huh. Like he seems to be that kind of guy to me. They'd be like, "Well, Kawhi's feeling really shy today." like he's not like, he's like, "Oh, no. I'll tell you, like Earl Weaver with the Baltimore Orioles back in the day was like an absolute ridiculous character and yelled, but they were winning. I mean, they were winning. They had Jim Palmer and Cal Ripken. They had all these good players,
Lane Kiffin's kind of this way now. It sort of went, it kind of turned at the end of the season when he started just like whining about playoff. Yeah, playoff position.
We deserve to be in. It's
for a
really
month and a half.
hard out here. My job is harder than BYU's. Oh,
Yeah. But for a while, it was like, oh, Lane wins and he's funny and he likes to get on social media and, share memes. Like that was sort of endearing. And then while the flip side of that, when he was losing, it was like, look at this Nepo baby just being weird and mean to people. So yes. And Paul, can I start the show by airing my own grievance here as well?
Would. I would like it. I like a grievance. I go to a grievance.
Okay. So when we started streaming television, the cool thing about it, right, was that we were going to get to pick our own stuff.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be awesome because in theory you'd spend less money than cable.
Yeah.
So how do you watch the Boston Red Sox, Paul? Do you get to watch the Red Sox?
Okay. So the last couple years I have eschewed my MLB subscription because watching the Red Sox every night would have hurt my marriage.
I understand. Okay.
They were bad enough to where she would have been like, "Hey, do you want to watch something else?" I'm like, "What's the point of life?"
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com. That's CLEAN email.com.
Like, why are we here? Let's just move into a cave in Tibet and contemplate existence because this is garbage, Then they had like little streaks where I'm like, hey, maybe I can live distance like $40 for the rest of the season. Like they're in second place right now. Like they're on a run and then they lose 9 games in a row. I'm like, well, I'm glad I didn't waste that $40.
Sure.
So I am in a wait and see mode about them this year, but I direct TV for a long time. So I had the MLB package. It was something they bonused me one time when I complained about my bill going too high, which they used to, like when DirecTV was owned by DirecTV and no one else, you could call up and be like, listen, you sons of bitches, you raised my bill, and I'm gonna.
I'm irate. I'm gonna go to.
I'm like
Grande or something.
Yeah, like you know what? This Dish Network. By the way, Dish Network, one of our sponsors. But
my bad. Hey, Garrett, strike the other cable company I mentioned.
No, but anyway, but yeah, no, I'm like, listen, Dish Network, yeah, that's a way hotter chick than you are right now, bro. You know, like, yeah, I'm gonna go with Dish Network, and then you'll pay, and then be like, no, whoa, don't leave. Here's a bunch of stuff we'll get. Like, you could never pay for HBO. Like, as long as we own this company, you will not pay to watch The Sopranos. Great, awesome. And you know what? You're a sports guy, so why don't we'll give you the NFL Sunday ticket for free, and you pick one. One time they said, just pick one, basketball, baseball, hockey that you want. We'll give you that one for free too. And I was like, well, baseball. Let's do that.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
I'm glad that you guys are seeing things my way. This is customer service. And then when AT&T bought them and I would do that same thing, they'd be like, we're not afraid of you.
Garrett, do you watch the Stars on Victory Plus?
I do.
Okay, and it's all free, right?
So right now the Stars are. I feel like the Rangers are charging you.
This
though.
trained
Yes.
Rangers do charge.
Yeah, so the Stars
I
are
did notice
free,
that the other night.
and the Rangers are charging. The Rangers, like a lot of MLB teams, the local regional network model is failing miserably.
Well, and yes, because they want to go to streaming. The Rangers and many other teams made a deal with Diamond Sports Group, which is owned by a company named Sinclair, a company that mostly owns local news stations. That's how they made their billions and billions of dollars. And we're also in trouble of, they were a very, pro-Trump organization that was so kind of messed up that even during the previous Trump administration, they were in trouble with the FCC. Even they were like that, hey, we appreciate all the copious amounts of love and ridiculous propaganda that you give to us, but also you can't do this the way you're doing it. So
Victory Plus, and listen, I understand this is not like a crazy amount of money. It's basically $150 one time for the entire year.
Yeah.
And I'm fortunate enough, I could do that if I wanted to. And my wife, if she was watching this, would probably say, maybe take your lunch and stop eating out 3 times a week. And you could do this, but that's, But anyway, I'm already paying for Disney Plus and Hulu and ESPN Plus. And because of my family situation, I'm not going to sit down and watch 5 Rangers games a week. I'm probably only going to watch bits and pieces of each one. And so now I'm like, do I really want to spend this amount of money on these games when I'm probably going to watch one a week? And like all good millennials, I steal my DirecTV login from my in-laws. So I use a bunch of their apps and stuff. And then I steal HBO from a former boss of mine. Peter, if you're watching, please don't cancel your subscription. And, I got a few other things like that. But, dude, I thought the whole point of this was we were supposed to be liberated, and we're supposed to just be paying a few dollars here and there, and we wouldn't have to. But now I'm spending all this money on all these different things, and I want to watch the Rangers, but I'm like, I don't want to. If I'm not going to use it on a regular basis, I don't want to spend.
Look, we're in the same boat for different things, and I was actually having this discussion with Amanda yesterday. As I feel confident about the way the roster is constructed for the Red Sox right now. Not a great first weekend, but I mean, who cares? If we get to May and this is a problem, then I'll know. So, but I don't know whether to get just the Red Sox on Nesson or to do the whole MLB package, because I do like to watch other games sometimes, although the old school announcers have, died off enough to the way, I used to watch the Dodgers a lot because of Vince Scully. So it was well worth it because you could just pop on a Vince Scully broadcast and be like, all right, well, I'm going to listen to the smooth jazz of Vin. And and he was just so
he's so good. Yeah.
Every game he didn't have a color analyst, didn't need one. And he was just up there in the booth and he was just telling this story. And I would liken it now to listening to a really interesting podcast, with a baseball game in the middle of it. You'd be like, Mookie Betts stepped to the plate. Mookie Betts went to Vanderbilt. Here's an interesting story about Vanderbilt. And, like, he would, like, tell this story, and you're like, wow, he really did his research. There's a double down the left side. And Will Smith comes in to score. That's going to make it 2-1 Dodgers, bottom of the third. And you're like, man.
So good, yeah.
It's so good. And then he'd be like, all right, coming up to the plate now is Max Muncy. Max Muncy went to Baylor University. And then he'd, like, tell some, like, great story about Baylor. And then you're like, you know, Muncy strikes out. That's the end of the inning. You know, we'll be back after this. Don't forget to check out our sponsor, you know, Kaiser Permanente Hospital. And then he'd just go on, and you're like, how in the world
Does he do all this?
Does he do all this? And it's not like, if I told this to anyone like Emery's age, mostly, I'm giving it Emery credit. Emery would probably have enjoyed it because he's a connoisseur, a man about town, a raconteur.
What was the last one?
Raconteur.
Okay, that's a new one for me.
Yeah, that's what he is. You and I have never been raconteurs. Emery's a raconteur. But you try to explain it to somebody, like if you try to explain it to your, like a teenager, you're like, so it's like a podcast with a baseball game in the middle. Like, what kind of podcast? Like, well, it's a baseball podcast, but he talks about so many things. And it's just really done. He's got this really great voice. It's very relaxing. And then they'd be like, no.
Yeah.
That sounds,
no, thank you. That sounds awesome.
So it's going to stop and he's going to talk about the baseball game for a couple minutes. Yeah, but it's just so, like, artfully woven
He
in.
just weaves it in and out.
Yeah, you know. So and one of the things it's a little different now. I loved when we had day Ranger games because I would go home, I would lay on the couch, I would turn it on, and I would, like, drift in and out of a nap, like, when things happen. Baseball is a great sport to listen to. I don't have it on the TV, but, like, to listen to, because, like, you can have it on the background and do a task, and then, like, when something happens, you can, like,
Engage.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I love that about it. And so the Rangers for a while had the best combo, in my opinion, of TV and radio. The Red Sox did, like, too, as well. And then, like, the Rangers TV went through, like, a bunch of changes in, like, a couple of years, you know? And so it has been a while since I've really watched them regularly on television because I didn't have the package and then, like, their whole thing. So, yeah, no, I'd like to do it. I just don't know what I should do because I want to watch the Rangers quite a bit too because I enjoy watching them.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm in this spot now, and I'm like, man, this is not like most things. We took a good idea, and then it's honestly, it's kind of like NIL in the transfer portal. It's like we took a very good idea in theory, and then we just greedy people got involved, and now it's crazier than we thought.
That is our true American skill of, like, I mean, think about, like, you know, I know you don't know this. Garrett and I know this because we're in our 40s. We remember a time before supersizing was available.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, you would go and you would get a normal-sized meal and you would eat it and you were full. You know? So you would go and you'd get a quarter pounder with cheese. And if you wanted a large fry, you could get a large fry, but usually you'd have to split that, you know, with someone. But then they said, hey, what if there's a bigger size than large? And they're like, how can you do that? And they're like, we're America. We can do anything we want. You know, like, look, do you ask the bald eagle how he kills his prey? No. All right? That's not what we do here in America. And they're like, what if we said supersize? And then we made it, like, an inch bigger in the box and put, like, 12 more fries in there. Not enough to where it was really going to hurt us.
Just mentally, yeah. Just mentally,
and then
you
we're
feel
going
like
to charge,
more.
you know, an extra like a nominal thing. It was 30, and initially it was like 39 cents. So like 39 cents, that's less than 2 quarters. I'd be stupid not to get these extra fries. Look how much the bigger the box looks on the picture. Oh, and a drink? Oh, wow, I could swim in that thing. Sure, I'm thirsty. Why not? And we did it. And we just let him get away with it. Just let him get away with it. And then it became 99 cents and $1 and all and all. And still, it's only like 10 fries more than you were getting, you know.
It's not a big difference.
No. So much so they've had to like go back in the other direction because fast food's gotten pretty expensive to where now all these places have this thing where you get like 3 different things that are normal size for like $5.
Right, like the 3 for $4 or something like that.
They do that because people are like, wait a minute, I'm onto your game. And then they'll just raise the price on that slowly over time. And you're like, no, you tried this supersizing. We caught you on that.
Did you see that story that DoorDash is now letting you like finance?
Yes.
Basically, it's like you can do it in installments.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, listen, I've been through some hard times. I'm like one emergency away from some more hard times. But if you have to finance a cheesy gordita crunch, like, let's just look in the mirror, please, because that's some things are going wrong.
You might need to pick up a second job. Yeah. I mean, like, and look, it does.
Or just make a sandwich instead.
Exactly. That's not good. Finance it. You pay interest on your on your dinner.
On your Taco Bell?
Yeah. Have you seen those commercials for like the apps where they say that you can like win money playing solitaire or like bingo or whatever? And like the premise of the app or the commercial is so dumb. It's like somebody's like at a restaurant or something and they get up to pay and then like their debit card doesn't work or something like that. And they're like, oh my God. And then someone's like, I want it playing cash grab. And then like they hurry up and pay it and then like pay with their phone. Like, do you understand what would happen if you were in a line, you couldn't pay for your stuff and you're like, hold on, I'm going to play a game.
Somebody playing solitaire.
Let me play a couple of quick games of solitaire or bingo or Candy Crush. And I'll win the $8 I need to pay for this. There would be like you would be murdered.
There would be some riots.
There would be like you would absolutely like no. Put his food back. Get out of here. Go get a job, pal. Yeah. I mean, no. This is as good as money, sir. It's an IOU. That's so absolutely ridiculous. So. Steven, we'll talk about the Final Four towards the end of the show because we have a good wheel topic today, which you're going to make me pick shooters.
Yes,
right?
We're doing, season on the line, game on the line. I've got 2 people in each little slot. Who is Paul going to pick? I tried to group them either by school or by similar style of play, similar era. So it should be fun.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. So I want to start out talking about, we'll do a couple Cowboys things because you are the only fellow Cowboys follower of the group of co-hosts. So the Cowboys traded a 5th-round pick, with which they have 3. They had 4. They've already traded 1 away for Kair Elam. They traded another 1 away, and they got back a 7th-round pick and quarterback Joe Milton from the Patriots. And they were going to draft a quarterback probably with that pick that they traded away. And this year's quarterback class is not all that robust. So we're talking about somebody like Tyler Shuck or Kyle McCord or, good college quarterbacks not really getting you excited for the NFL. I'm going to say something I have not said about the Cowboys in a very long time.
You like this one?
I love this one. I think this is really good. He's got potential. He's got a cannon. We saw him at the end of the year last year, start a game against the Bills. Now, granted, they were playing their backups, but he threw 22 for 29. He's an NFL player. An NFL starter, I don't know, but he's an athletic upgrade over Cooper Kupp, and he's a talent upgrade over Trey Lance. Now, Cooper Kupp's gone in Baltimore. Can't do anything about that now. Yeah. But Cooper Rush.
I know what you meant.
Yeah. So
they're 2
Cooper
very
Rush.
different players.
Yeah. Cooper Rush. So this is the first move they've made where I'm like, okay, smart move. And I like it because they're going to they needed a backup quarterback, and now they don't have to they've essentially made their draft pick already.
I like it too. They've had a revolving door of backups, and I don't say this in a bad way. I think this is there's a lane for these types of guys. Cooper Rush, Andy Dalton for a year. Dudes that they're not going to kill you. If they're in a game, you can stay competitive. They're not going to go out there and throw 6 picks and completely put you out of a ball game. But what I like about Joe Milton, what you talked about, if you're going to take a risk on somebody, and I use risk in quotes because it's a 5th-round pick, give me someone who has the physical tools that the ceiling is going to be higher, right? So Joe Milton might end up being a decent quarterback in this league. I think he's got the physical attributes to do that. And you can, at the very least, you should be able to coach him up to a place where he can be at the level of some of those guys I just mentioned, where, hey, you go in the game, don't make a lot of risky throws, just, keep us in the ball game. And I mean, the Trey Lance thing, that ship has sailed, right? They gave him an entire preseason to show what he can do, gave him an opportunity to make plays. It didn't work. So now you're on to your next thing, which in this case is Joe Milton. I think it makes sense. And this seems like a pretty shrewd move. If he turns into something great, if he doesn't, well, then you're just out a 5th round pick, and we probably don't talk about it again. Which was a
compensatory pick.
Yeah, compensatory pick.
It's one they got because they lost guys in free agency last year. So
they also love, and you texted me this when they traded for Elam, they love like highly drafted guys who didn't
work out,
pan out. They're like, give me that dude. Let me see if we can get him in the building and do our best with it.
Yeah. So the other thing that's going on with the Cowboys is Jerry Jones thinking that he and Micah had the deal hammered out, or saying that they did. Mm-hmm. And then Micah Parsons going like, no. Like, we talked. Like, we're cool, but like, no, you're not going to throw shade at my agent like that.
Yeah, it's bizarre. I mean, it's typical Jerry in that it's a misstep. It's a communication error. I don't know what the end game is here. I'm not sure if this is just posturing, but antagonizing one of your best players and his agent doesn't make any sense. Now, at the end of the day, I think these things will get worked out. I'm just at the point, Paul, where I think he just enjoys this. I mean, I feel like he likes, I don't know if I would say he likes lockout or holdouts, but I just think he likes the drama. I think he likes
thinking he's making a deal, even though he's not.
Yes, he likes the negotiation. Like, in his mind, it's like, okay, this is me putting together a business deal. I'm selling land for oil or something like that. Mm-hmm. We're going back and forth. But the reality is, we know what these numbers are going to be. And you've said it before. It's just like, it's clearly out there. Other edge rushers have established contracts this offseason. Like, just get it done and move on with your life, so that we don't have to continue this conversation for 3 more months.
Well, last year he was like, well, we got to see how, like, when it was CD and Dak, like, we got to see leaves fall. Like, no. You make the leaves fall. Be the first leaf.
Right.
Be out in front, and you're going to save money. Like, he keeps thinking he's going to get some kind of deal. And I almost think that, like, there's got to be something like, oh, this is a deal. I mean, like, look at this, like, look what the Bengals gave Burrow. Like, come on. We're not chumps like Mike Brown, that.
Well, remember when the Zeke holdout was going on and Jalen Smith was just kind of like, well, I'm here.
Yeah.
and they hammered out a deal like that. Mm-hmm. And they had Jalen up there looking like a teacher's pet. He had glasses on, and he was like, I just love the Cowboys. And Jerry was like, see what we did?
But here's Jalen. We talked about this yesterday. Jalen knew he was on borrowed time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't think about that aspect of it. Yeah.
He knew. I mean, like, he knows how his leg feels. Uh-huh. He knows. So if they're going to say, like, hey, would you like this contract done? He and his agent are going to be like, yeah, you bet your ass, because I don't know when this is going to end.
No, I don't blame him, but I think it's a good.
I really like Jalen Smith.
Right, I think it's a good example of Jerry he always wants to feel like he's pulled one over on people. But it's weird that for a guy who is, like, in a lot of ways very innovative, he's done a lot of things for the league and for the Cowboys that has been successful and other people haven't done. He just likes this tired old way of negotiating. I don't understand it.
Yeah, no, it is. I think that that he just, it's more antics. Mm-hmm. It's just antics. And I don't even know the agent's name. Yes, you do. You've negotiated many a contract with him. And if he says he doesn't know it, and he genuinely doesn't know it, then there's another conversation that has to be had, which is, oh, Jerry.
How far do you feel like they are from the Eagles and Commanders right now?
Oh, they're
like, how much of a gap?
They're a 2-game minimum gap to me. The Ari Temkin said this to me at Big 12 Media Day or Pro Days. Will McClay is so good at his job, it has kept the Cowboys from realizing how far away they actually are. He is so good at drafting, so good at it, because he really is. Like, this is how they can stay in the conversation. If Will McClay ever left and they hired just some other guy and they said, listen, we're not going to spend much in free agency. We're not going to make super aggressive trades. We're not like, we're going to be right on the doorstep a couple times. And they have been right on the doorstep a couple times. And the one thing we need, we're not going to go get it because we're trying to build for a future that's never going to come. And that's the Stephen Jones part of this. Stephen Jones is trying to rebuild a dynasty that can't exist in the same way it did before.
Right.
Like, we've had 2 dynasties since the Cowboys, the Patriots and the Chiefs. And they have one thing in common over both of them. The best quarterback of the era was playing for them. The Cowboys did not necessarily have the best quarterback, although Great Aikman was one of the greats. They had the best roster. And then the salary cap hit, and they haven't been able to do that since.
And both those dynasty teams, even with the greatest quarterback, like, suffered their own, lapses or embarrassments too.
Yeah.
It's just the nature of it.
Yeah, it's hard. Like, but they're also like, the Patriots were ahead of the game on a lot of things until they weren't, right? Until everybody kind of figured out what they were doing. And then the Chiefs are more or less ahead of the game. They don't have to be as ahead of the game because Mahomes is just so fantastic.
Right.
But like, that's where the Eagles are right now. They're just ahead of the game of everybody else. Like, they're like, the chess versus checkers thing